Welcome back, my lovelies. So lovely to be back speaking with you again. I hope you enjoyed part 1 and 2 of this renovation, restoration, whatever, of the pink house. This is now part 3. Hurrah! Hurrah for part 3. A couple of things before I start on the next section of what I'm going to do here. Well, before anything, cheers. Lovely. I just wanted to say that I got some really lovely comments from you guys from part 2 after you'd seen me do the front garden and everything, and I just want to say a huge thank you to Krista Delisle. Thank you so much. Your comment honestly really touched my heart. You said a lot of things, and then at the end you mentioned that you thought I was like the Bob Ross of the dollhouse world. I have to say, when I was trying to write back to you, it actually brought a tear to my eye. We, over the years, have watched dear Bob on his series here in the UK and watched them over and over again. I can't tell you how many times I have watched Bob Ross on the television from the beginning to the end, and I'm sure it's a very great loss to his family and friends that he's not here anymore, very sadly. But I've always looked up to that man. I always tried painting, sometimes tried techniques of his and whatever, but I really admired the gentleman. I thought it was just so different to have someone so kind and calm on television. He was truly one of the greats. But Krista, you saw something in what I do that related me to being sort of like Bob Ross in the Doll's House world, and I have to say that's the biggest compliment to me anybody has ever given me in the work that I've done from the very beginning. Is that comment alone has made it all worthwhile. I can't thank you enough. Thank you. And like a friend commented on that, the lovely Mary Kay that we stayed with in Chicago. Hi Mary Kay, if you're watching, I'm sure you will be. But you had commented on Krista's comment about Bob Ross, and thought maybe it'd be fun if one day I put maybe like a little happy little tree somewhere. Who knows? Who cares? But yes, maybe I'll. Oops, I'm standing on a plastic toolbox there and it's cracking. Maybe one day I'll put happy little things in when I'm doing things in houses, because I think that's a really nice thing to say. So I shall try and honour that. Thank you very much, Krista. Right, before we actually go on to the next part of the house, which is I'm going to start decorating the insides of the basement. At the moment, they're just white rooms. They've been used, but they've never been decorated. So this will all be new decoration that I'll be putting in. And I'm going to start over here, which I think was the dining room. The kitchen's this side. I think the dining room's that side. I'll check my notes and then we'll start with that. But before I go any further and actually start, I said to you in the past video that I was looking for a colour to do the front door of the house. Just something that looked just right with the Suffolk pink that I had put into my profile, Wackywear profile, in the B&Q stores, where you can go in and ask and get that paint mixed up under my Wackywear profile. So I have indeed added a second colour to that profile, and I'd spent quite a long time looking at images, staying awake at night thinking about it and trying to picture the front door of this house and the colour of it to go with the rest of the building that I thought personally would be really nice. Some people may hate it, some people may like it, some people may love it. But anyway, I'd looked through magazines, I've went around the house looking at objects to find the colour and nothing. And then one day, I was actually getting ready to film some stuff, and John Boy walked in, with a fairly new t-shirt on that he'd only worn a couple of times, just a plain t-shirt. And lo and behold, as soon as I noticed it, him wearing it, that was the exact colour that I imagined for the front door of this house. So obviously I screamed with joy, much to John Boy's distress. And I said, that's my phone. And I said, I need that t-shirt, I need it now, I need that colour. Get it off. So in a nutshell, I took his t-shirt up to our local B&Q and got them to scan it. When they scanned it, like the pink colour, when I had that scan from the front of the doll's house, it was best part of 100% exact to the colour. Sometimes they tell me that they can't get the same, like as close, but this was absolutely more or less just by eye, it would look perfect. So I would like to now introduce to you John Boy Green. That is what it's called. I've written it on the tub there. If you remember that, John Boy Green. If you live in the UK, if you go into B&Q and ask to see the Wacky Wear profile for the paints to be mixed, and under there will be one called John Boy Green. This is the colour, and it's going to look, I know it's going to look amazing. As I said, some people won't like it, some people will like it, but I am going to love it. And I just discussed it with my client. Obviously this is not my house, and she agreed for me to go ahead and do something like that. So I painted the door with the John Boy Green, sanded it on both sides, obviously, sanded it after it was dry, so it's really, really smooth. And then I gave it another coat on top of that and sanded that again. And then after that, I bought, well, I'd already had it, got about half a can left, but it's an acrylic varnish. And this one was a satin varnish. I didn't want the high gloss, that suits more Georgian houses, more grand houses. This is a beautiful little pink cottage, but I didn't want the door to be completely matte. So I have no idea until I look back on the video at all, but I don't know if it shows just a slight satin sheen. Actually, I'll show you on the front, because the outside is just a matte paint, and the door has got the satin gloss the satin varnish on it. So hopefully someone will think that's going to look really nice. I will fit it into the front of the house. All the windows are already in. I'll put the door in next, and then that keeps it safe out of the way. I'll just lay it on there just now. But there we are, John Boy Green, brand new colour, and I created it through the t-shirt of John Boy himself. If the t-shirt was here, I would have shown you and you could have seen how exact it is, but he's actually out visiting family today and he's wearing it. How dare he? I can't believe, do you know he'll do anything to sabotage my videos? Anything. Just kidding. Right, okay, let's move on. I'm going to turn the house around a bit, so you won't be able to see in very well, but I'm just going to I'll take the camera then with me, guys, to show you, and I'll show you what I'm going to do to the first room. Right, okay, so what I've done is I just dampened the floor. I scored the floor in a sort of crisscross pattern with the X-Acto knife, and then I just got a paintbrush, which is dripping with water here, but I just got a little brush like that and just painted half the floor with water, just dampish, not soaking, and the paper was really old, so as soon as I just used this blade on the X-Acto knife, and if you've got a straight one that's across the top, just as easy, and I just put it in underneath the flooring and it just peeled up really easily. So that came up within a couple of minutes basically. I also turned the house upside down and I have painted the ceiling white, and I also marked the centre of this room and the centre of that room on here. I've drilled a hole in both the centres, and I've done a routing line with a small router tool on the Dremel from the front to the back, and that's where the lights are going to hang in each room, and the wiring will go to the back, and I can cover that over so the house will sit on top of it. To lay the paper, what I do first of all is to get a template of any kind of paper. I use A4 paper, but just this sort of strength, and then I just put bits together, push them up or sideways or whatever to make the exact depth and whatever I want in the room. Luckily, when I put this paper in for this house, it is exactly the same depth as a piece of A4 paper, which is 21 centimetres. So that was handy. But if the ceilings were slightly higher, then I would just get 2 bits of paper and put it against the wall, put that one against the wall and slide it up until it met the height. So I'll do it that way, until it met the height of the ceiling, and then I would just tape a bit of tape along there. So that would give me the exact height then. So you just make it up with bits of paper to get the size of the walls. And then what I did was to cut the paper that height, and then with the length of it, I made sure it came down that length of the wall and just onto this wall by about 1/4 of an inch. 1/4 of an inch, if that. As long as it just overlaps into the corner there. If you've got long sort of mural paper, then you can go down one wall and along another fairly easily. But it only came to about halfway along that wall, and I don't want to join looking straight into the room like that. That would be bad. So once I've got that, before I put it up, I laid it on the table. Say this is the bit, and this is the fold where it would be going around the corner of the room. And where that fold is, I just folded it underneath again, first of all, so I knew exactly where the pattern would go to the corner of the room. And then I would lay that on another sheet of that same paper and move it backwards and forwards until I could pattern match this. And as soon as I'd got that mark, I would put a steel ruler along there, take that away and cut. So I think I ended up taking about that much paper off that I'm not going to use. That doesn't matter. The good thing is, that's this cup here. So when I put this on this wall, this pattern will match the pattern in the corner. And I've just done a fold along that end, because when it gets to the end of this wall, I just wanted to go around the corner just for the 9mm depth of the wall there. So when you open the front door, you can see a bit of paper and not just bare wood. To glue them in, you can get bigger Pritts. That's a smaller one. I did have a load of these, so it just means using more of them. And there's a bigger one I've been using, and you can get a bigger, fatter one again, which is, if you can get those, they're better because they cover the paper easier. But I went for the walls. I'm going to get the Pritt stick and go all over the actual wall itself, and then onto the paper, and just go make sure definitely all around the edges, and then just cover it as much as you can, and then I can offer it up to the wall and match up the corner there and finish gluing it on. The Pritt stick holds really well, and it dries, and it's solid. So I'm going to just carry on and do that, and I'll carry on and do this side as well. I've got to stop halfway down the wall above the front door, because the other wallpaper will go into the kitchen. There's no door there. So I'll get that done, and then we can lay the floor in that room. Just quickly, I just thought, when I do apply the paper, I'll offer the paper into the room, line it up with this edge here first of all, so it's nice and square on, and then just with an old credit card, just lay the paper down and just start pressing in with the card, nice and smooth. Just do that as you lay the paper down until you get to the corner, and when you're in the corner, you can go up and down the corner of the room with the credit card. Any bit of plastic like that does well. Right, I've got the paper in the corner there matching, and then I'm just going to go along with the credit card. Just flatten it out to the wall. a nice edge there. And if you fold the paper first of all to give it a nice crease, then it doesn't look rounded on the wall. It gives it a nice, really nice clean corner. And the paper is matched beautifully. Hurrah! And I'll just show you in the front door. If you look inside there of the house, you can just see going around the corner there. And going into the wall there. Lovely. Okay, now if I can just show you for the flooring, as I said, put in the paper into the corner there. Get that nice and square like that, and then you can see it doesn't go to the full size of the room. So I'll just lay that on. I'll put this underneath and slot it in up against that back wall there. Get the paper nice and square. Like so. It takes a bit of manoeuvring to get it just right. There we are, like that. And then I'll just put a bit of tape along there. I need to get some tape. Okay, so once the floor is laid in place, then I go along all around the edges and across the floor with the credit card, like so. And that's the floor laid. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but I think you might be able to see it, the reflection of the door there showing on it. I picked a polished parquet flooring paper, so as you move it will catch the light and reflections. So instead of it being a matte colour, it's got a shine on it, slight shine, so it looks like it's polished. Right, now we'll put the skirting boards in. Right, now just remember, every now and again resharpen your pencil, because as in time it wears itself down. When you're trying to mark things exactly, you don't get it really close, so keep your pencil sharp. Just cut the last piece of skirting board here. I've just laid the length inside up to the door frame, and where it sticks out at the end there, I've just marked it with a pencil and cut it. I'll just show you quick the tool that I use. Very soon we're going to be moving into our new workshop. Yay! So obviously I will film that for you guys and let you see the sort of beginnings of the workshop. At the moment I'm working outside on a bench, but I'll just show you quick the tool that I use to cut all my mitre in for my cornices or the coving or skirting boards. Now it's a little bit breezy today, so sorry if the wind is blowing on the inbuilt microphone, but this is the tool that I use for doing all the mitring. It's a nice small Proxon chop saw, and it does all the angles that you need, both directions, and the clamp there is really strong and holds really thin bits of wood in for you. A nice handle there to change the positions, but the whole thing moves around. But that is an ideal tool. I don't know what I would do without it for getting perfect mitres. Also, when you put these in and they come out to the edge of the houses, you can see the let me show you. You can see the bare coloured wood where you've coloured it or stained it a colour. You can see the bare wood at the end there. So I use these markers, furniture markers. There's one for oak, mahogany and maple, and you just get the colour that's closest to your piece of wood. It's like a big felt pen with a, if I can hold it up there, with an angle thing on it, and you just dab that along and it stains into the wood. You can see that okay, and then you don't get that bare wood look at the end. So that's that. And then I will just apply glue to this and put the last piece in. A friend of ours was round yesterday. We had a lovely visit, nice couple, 2 or 3 cups of tea, and she was saying about she'd seen somebody else on YouTube using a lot of glue and just using a brush to put it on with. And I think really it's whatever is easiest and quickest for you. For me, using cocktail sticks, I do the same as Julie Warren. People that watch Julie Warren, she puts most of her glue on with cocktail sticks and they go on quickly, evenly. Once you've applied the item to the piece of furniture that you're making or the wall, any glue that comes up, just turn the cocktail stick around the other way and just scrape it along the edge and it picks up. I just wipe it off on my hand, scrape it along, wipe like that. It gets rid of all any excess that's showing and takes it straight off. It's really, really easy to use. So put that down, keep it along the floor level, like so, and then I will just pause the camera for a minute, hold this in place, and then show you the finished room. I've still got to put the light in, but I'll show you the room. Okay, here we are. That's everything laid, floor laid, wallpapered on, window in place, and the new skirting board put in. Okay, this skirting board this end is shorter by 9 mils, so that when the door closes, it closes in flush with the outside of the building. So you can't put anything there, otherwise the door wouldn't close. And then, as you can see, if you peer through to the kitchen there, going from the dining room into the kitchen, I have begun work in the kitchen. So let's go in the kitchen and see what I'm getting up to. Okay guys, so I've got this really lovely, I love this flooring. It's embossed paper, so it's got a really nice shine and a nice look to it. Sorry, not embossed, it's got a sheen on it, so it looks like floor tiles, which it is meant to be. But it's really, really pretty, and sort of worn looking pattern on it, which I think is really nice. And then I've picked out the lighter, very pale cream colour and the darker sort of tan yellow type colour on there as well. And I'm doing the top of the walls in a very light colour so that it goes with the background of the tiles. And I've picked out this lovely yellow, tan yellow to go with the patterns on the tiles there. I'm going to do the skirting the same, and in this kitchen we're going to have a wood panelling all around the walls as well. So I'm going to put that together and then attach that to the walls. I've just realised if we look right through their house there and out the other door, we can see the Versailles house. Quite a contrast to this country Suffolk cottage. Right now, so I've put the skirting board in, and I've painted just above the skirting board with the same colour, so just really roughly, because I'm going to put the wood panelling on there. If there was any tiny gaps showing through, then you'll still see the same colour, but it is a straight line and it will lie flush anyway. That's probably just going a bit overboard. But anyway, it only took 2 minutes to do that. So now I'm going to put the wood panelling on the walls. So with that, for that, I'm using a bare wood flooring. It's on a sticky back, so you can just peel this off and stick it to the wall. It's very strong sort of glue on it, so it does stick well. So yes, I'm using this bare wood flooring, and I have painted it. Put this up here. I've cut it to the height that I want it, just straight across, just cut a hole width, and then painted the colour same as the floorboards to go with the tiles. Sometimes you can just peel that off and stick it on. I'll show you it up close, and you can just see when I bend it, you can see the separate panels there. But what often you find, or sometimes you find, once that's stuck to the wall and you see it from a distance like this, you can't really always see the lines, the actual boards. Sort of, it's like tongue in groove, or you know, you want it to look like that. So doing it in one piece, they can sort of disappear, the joins in them. You can peel them off one at a time and stick them on as carefully as possible. Or, another tip, if I show you this, you can see the boards quite clearly now, and they're still stuck on the backing. And all I do for that is, once you've got the piece that you want and the right length, all you do is just bend one down so you've got the open bit there, and just get a piece of sandpaper and just sand like both sides, just like that, just for a couple of seconds. That's all you need. Fold it over and do the next one like that. Fold it over, next one. So you're not sanding it flat, you're sanding a sort of beveled edge on each side. I won't go over and do it all again because I've already done it. So just do that, flip it down, sand, flip it down, sand, and just go down like that. It takes a minute. And then when you open it up, you have actually sanded all the very corners off of the strips of wood, so they don't look beveled at all. But as you can see, when I hold them up, if I show you, hopefully you can see the difference in that. So it just visually just looks a lot better. So then you would just peel this off and stick it on. Let's just get the peel, take that off and get it in place. Be careful if this folds back on itself, especially if it was a big piece of flooring. It's a rotter to get undone again, unstuck. So try and place this. I know you can't see, I'm very sorry, very, very sorry. And I usually would do this off camera. If I put it on like so, there, hurrah. Right, I'll just take you inside, guys, into the room and you can see it. And just before I take you in, I'm just doing another panel, just to show you how easy and how quick it is to get this effect. There we are, and you can see them hopefully much easier now. Right, I'll stick the other sides in as well around the window. I might as well do the whole room and show you. And then also out in the kitchen, I've got some very thin strips of painted wood, which I'm going to mitre and cut and just stick along the top of the woodwork there, just to finish off. Nice little ledge. So I'll just cut that, glue it on in place, and then show you what it looks like. Okay folks, there's the room panelled. Sorry about my shaky hands, but you can see I've just done all around the window there, and put the a little happy dado rail on top, as Bob Ross would say if he was painting this picture. And I put the hinge in so I knew where it was, and then I've worked around it and just put bits of wood all around, so generally it looks fairly neat. So there we are. I think that's turned out really nice. So the last thing to do with both these rooms would be to put the lights in, but I may do that when I do the couple of rooms in the main house as well. Right folks, so I just wanted to share with you off camera, when I was putting this putting the wood into the room, all the panelling, I was cutting bits and gluing bits. I use a Gorilla wood glue, nice and strong, and I just tip it out on this little plastic lid, and I use a cocktail stick, as you know. And I was putting bits of glue on, bits of wood, and I was leaning in and putting all the wood in. And at one point, this just disappeared. And so instantly I thought, oh God, I've dropped it on the floor. And I looked around and turned around, moved the chair. I ended up making the site bigger than bigger, looking for this. John Boy is out at the moment, so I couldn't ask him to come in. I thought I was going mad looking at the work surface, and it wasn't there. And all of a sudden, I realised it had stuck on. Well, it stuck to my arm. While I was leaning in, doing something, I picked it up. so there we are. Sorry I wasn't filming that bit for you, and I didn't have to admit it, but I think I felt I should, just to give you guys a laugh. So on that note, I think we'll end this video. I'm going to go and get changed. It's getting on in the day anyway, and tomorrow morning I will start first thing in the upstairs house. Do a couple of rooms in there before this is completely finished. Okay, so on that note, keep well, folks. Thank you again for watching. Thank you. And I'll speak to you again ASAP. Take care, guys. Bye.